So one of the things that we learned is to see it and to understand it's a marathon and not a sprint. Because when you sprint, when I sprint, I can only sprint for so long and then I'll burn out, I'll run out of energy. So I think that's one important point to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also important to be able to pace ourselves and to set goals along the way, knowing that we can change these goals that we have. And then instead of doing everything all at once, let's say, instead of wanting our son to be able to like do very well in speech, do very well in terms of like running, and also be able to write with a pencil very well, maybe we need to just take a step back and say, you know what, all these goals may be too overwhelming and maybe too much. We just need to scale it down a little bit and then just focus on one goal at a time rather than everything all at once.
Yeah, there's a couple of pieces to this, really, that I think about a bit more. One of it is, we feel tired, we feel exhausted, because sometimes we compare our child with others, right? And what's important and helpful sometimes is to just treat your child as who he or she is. So while it's important to compare, but compare your child to who he or she was last month, last year, 2 years ago, right? They will grow at their own pace. Another important point is there are support systems out there. So use it. That self-care piece is really important, because if us, as parents, if we start burning out, your child will not benefit from that one bit. So once again, suggestion is to play the long game. Mm-hmm. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Right. And also, I think for families who have, like if there's like if there are two parents in the family, it might be a good idea to actually talk about it, talk about our feelings, talk about how our day is going, and not bottle it up inside. Because I found that actually for us, we have been just going and going and going. He's in charge of more of the external piece. I'm in charge of more of the internal piece, like looking after the kids, looking after the household. And then so we found that like we're like stretched so thin. And in the end, like we might just get upset at each other very easily, not knowing that, we're actually very tired, or maybe our day was very long, very difficult. But then in the end, just realizing that the other person is also going through the same thing as you, and also we are a team, like we're working together as a team. I think that really helps a lot, and like just the understanding piece is important.
A lot of times one of the dangers or traps is thinking that you're on an island by yourself, right? Where in reality, there's lots of people, kids, families like yourselves, like us. So yeah, reach out, to other families, other parents. A lot of parents, a lot of families on this journey are happy to share information, knowledge, experiences with you. Happy to do it. They'll carve out time out of their day. So don't think of it as a bother. It's not a bother. Don't think it's nuisance. We're in this together. Mm-hmm. So families, but also professional help, like counseling, mm-hmm. and also organizations out there. Once again, mm-hmm. Nationally, provincially.
Right. And then in terms of finding a counselor, we think that there are many counselors out there. Find one that suits you and your family, because we found that it was very helpful to find a counselor who was also understanding of families with special needs. So that would be a good way to go.
Yeah, and one last bit I'll say is that for some, there's a stigma with counseling. But, whatever helps your family. So there are certain things that you may be able to talk to other people and sort of get resolved, but there may be other things that cannot be solved that way. So in those cases, we really encourage to seek that professional advice. They're professionals for a reason, right? So really, they're available, they're there, so make good use of it. They're there to support you.